I'm just gonna hand it back over to Leo and Terminus. That was
yeah, we can let them talk.
Yeah. So Terminus, I know that
Hello.
you and Leo. Wait, Terminus, before you begin. I know you and Leo are having discussion insofar as what dispute exactly. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here. Just give the proposition.
Yeah. So I made the claim that sex among humans is not binary.
Okay, and then obviously, Leo here is affirming that it is binary. Yeah. So Leo, you still there?
Yeah, he's denying that it's binary.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta submit something for
Affirming
class.
that-
Be back in a sec.
The last thing he was confused on is what the definition of hermaphrodite is. A true hermaphrodite produces both male and female gametes. And I'll post now 2 case studies of true hermaphrodites here. Very basic stuff that anyone with, sufficiently developed levels would be able to understand. So if we take a look here, right, there's actually 2 case studies of true hermaphrodites. That is the title, true hermaphrodites. Why is that word emphasis important? And why was it important that I get him to understand the definition of hermaphrodite before? Because if he knows that the definition among biologists for hermaphrodites is someone who produces both male and female gametes, then he understands that the title referring to a true hermaphrodite case study is just an example of someone who does produce both male and female gametes. It does not get more basic than this. And now, after my perfectly cogent Blue's Clues level fucking response, we're going to receive an incoherent ramble from the opponent here whenever he's ready.
Yeah. So I think
that shit was not rhetorical, by the way.
I think what Leo's gonna do is come into question, or just wait. Come into question the study that you gave. So if you want, I'm sharing my screen. I know most of you guys are on phone. I can scroll through it while you guys are talking about it to see if you guys agree.
Okay. Yeah, so where's the source that there's an individual who can produce both male and female functional gametes? And we can take a look at that.
Terminus, if you can just tag Leo in the study.
Like empirical disputes are scary because I might actually be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, so already not a lot of confidence on Leo's side. It's getting really embarrassing.
He tagged
What do you
you.
think for hermaphrodites are?
Wait, Addy.
Leo, me personally, I would not take that shit. I don't know why you just stayed silent to that.
Wait, what the fuck is going on?
What do you think true hermaphrodites are?
Wait, Addy, just wait till Terminus comes. I don't know why we need you. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen if you guys want to see the case.
Wait, where's what paragraph is it?
I don't know. Just ask him.
What paragraph?
Terminus, are you still there? Have you left the ring? Come on, guys. We needed a big guy.
Maybe I could just do Control F, and then I could just type in gamete or something, and we can just see all instances of the gamete. Presumably, this says this individual produces both gametes or something like that.
I'm doing it right now on my computer.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me just take a look there.
I'm looking through right now. It's not that long, actually.
Yeah, just do Control F gamete, Control F sperm, just keywords like that, probably.
Wait, hold on. Just give me 1 second. Wait, hold on. I'm just gonna fix something on my screen. I'll share it again.
I guess an entailment of that would just be that they could reproduce with themselves. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I got it to work. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, you can just look at my screen again. Look at it now. Control F.
Thanks, go fuck yourself to a whole new level.
Nothing.
Okay, Gabe, so just do Control F. Yeah, and then write gamete or something.
Nothing's popping up.
Okay, do control F and do sperm.
Okay.
That's like the technical name for the male gamete. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah, so nothing is popping up, Terminus. This just looks like really, really bad right now.
Wait. Are you slow? Do you know what a gonad is?
Okay,
that's a different
this
term.
could be a potential completely different claim. So I want to be very clear that he made the claim that there's individuals who can produce both gametes.
Yeah, do you know what a functioning gonad is, yes or no?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And if you know what a functioning gonad is, then you'd know that that is a producer of gametes. The word gamete not being, specified in the paper because it's just a case study where they're detailing like the shape of the genitals and all the various, functioning organs is indicative only of you not understanding how writing of science works. So anyways, yeah,
Define
both
functioning.
functioning gonads are in place. The gonads are described specifically in the paper, and indeed, because the gonads are both functioning, both the male and female gonads, they do indeed produce both gametes. Simple.
Big Leo, you just got fucking knowledge gapped. Holy shit.
Okay, so we're gonna
Not
type
really.
out.
That's just like a
functioning.
basic concept that he's
And
pretending
guys-
not to understand. I already know he knows that I'm right. It's not
Wait,
really
Terminus,
complicated.
calm
Everybody
down.
knows what testes
Let
are.
your
I
opponent,
just want-
let your opponent respond.
I just want Gabe. I want you to wait. Let's just look up function right in this study.
Okay.
Yeah, so just type out functioning for everyone, and we're just gonna see if there's any instances of that's used.
Nothing.
So IND. IND.
Try this. I can't hear you.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
I can't hear you.
Jesus
sorry.
Christ, you
It
type
doesn't
slow.
even mention functioning in the study.
Oh my god. You know that like when I use a word like functioning, it's to shorthand the multiple more complex scientific words in a paper? I'm doing that for you to help
Wait.
you.
What
Maybe
is
just
the
read the
line?
Give a
paper.
specific word. Just give
What
the
is
specific
the
word.
Damn,
specific
he's
paragraph?
calling you guys slow.
What is the specific
Yeah,
paragraph?
so when gonads are being described to be functional, there's just certain characteristics they're going to point out. They're going to say that the protrusion is at the correct sort of angle and size, and everything is in line with some various inputs, and the blood flow is reaching the subplural state. It's like there's all these very things that point out, and it's just really not that complicated, Simple
Okay, so
shit.
what paragraph in which it affirms
It's
that?
like the difference between, someone
okay.
saying he
I'll-
has functioning legs versus he was like, walking to my house. You understand the difference between those two?
Just tell
Like,
me
if
what
it's not
exactly-
explicitly stated
Look,
they
this
have
isn't-
functioning legs,
This isn't
it
relevant.
doesn't mean that it's not very
Okay.
obviously
This is just
implied
not-
by the word in there.
You're not being linear right now. Okay. The question I'm asking you is just what paragraph in the study affirms the proposition that you're making. And by affirm, it can be an entailment. Right? That's fine.
It's hilarious that you assume that only a single
okay,
paragraph
now
would be
you're
doing that. Now,
Well,
if you want me to point out the multiple places you
presumably-
should look at,
Stop.
it would be the entire paper as it describes the entirety of the genitalia, because it's not describing both genitalia in a single paragraph, silly goose.
So just to be clear, there's no actual part of the paper that affirms that this individual can produce both gametes. I just want to make that clear. There's no there's no
What the
paragraph.
fuck? How did you get that out of what I just said?
Is
Wait,
there
do you
a
think that if there's
paragraph-
not a
is
singular spot
there
in
a
the paper
paragraph-
where it tells you such a thing, then that means there's no information in the paper that does
Not
convey
what I
that?
said. I
Just
asked,
imagine
is there-
if I told
stop,
you,
stop.
like, this long
Is
book
there a
explains climate
paragraph-
change, and you're like, which single
Is
paragraph
Look,
in the book
is
explains
there a
climate change? I'm like,
paragraph-
it's not a single paragraph,
Guys,
dummy.
guys,
It's
guys,
the
let's
entirety
not
of the case
interrupt
study.
each other. Let's not interrupt each other. Okay, one person at a time. Let's go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. So as I was
there-
explaining here, because
Why
he's
is he
failing to understand very basic concepts, right? It's not going to be in any singular paragraph because there are multi-sentence structures that are formed to describe all the different minutia of the genitals,
You know what
something that I'm
conclusion
sure you
is?
love reading about. And
You know
in
what
this
the- you
case,
know what the conclusion
right,
is?
there's multiple paragraphs dedicated to the male genitalia, and then there's multiple paragraphs dedicated to the female genitalia. And it turns out that in those describes how all the features that are of typically functioning male genitalia are described. And then all the features of typically functioning female genitalia are also described.
So when So just tell me what the specific lines are that you think lead to the conclusion, and we can just look at all the lines, and then we can see whether the conjunction of all
It's the entire paper. Because
Okay,
again,
so now this is
again,
okay. Now
you look through and it explains all these specific
Okay.
pieces that are all in place as
Okay.
should be.
Now
That's
I think
how
I'm
a
gonna,
determination
Yeah,
now I
that's
think I'm
done.
going to be giving you a bad faith charge, and the reason I'm going to be
is
giving you a
3
bad
years
faith
old.
charge
Now,
is because
if you
I
want to
said
say that you don't have the science,
sorry, I'm going to be giving you a bad faith charge right now, and the reason I'm charging you with being bad faith is because I'm asking you where in the study it says it, and you're telling me just to read the whole study. That's not informative.
Okay, wait,
I'm
who's
asking
server
what
muted, bro?
specific part of the study entails or implies the conclusion that you're talking about. Now,
Let
if
me
you want to
unmute
say
you for
yes,
you.
If you guys need a moderator, that would be fine. But like, that's not server mute.
yeah.
no,
If-
I like
if
when
you
they
wanna
server
say-
mute me. So, anyways,
Look, wait, sorry, I'm
Okay.
still.
as I was already saying, and
Never
I'm
mind,
gonna
just
ask to
server muted
explain yet again.
if you
still
want.
speaking.
I like when they
I'm
get server
moderating.
muted. It just shows that there's like rhetorical dominance on part of someone, and they just have to nerf
Can
them a
I,
little bit.
can I finish
So,
my, can I finish
so
my
as I'm
sentence?
like pointing out, oh wow, I was muted, and you already want to talk over. Please mute me
I was-
again, so he
wait,
like get a chance to speak again.
Hello?
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
was
as I
speaking
was
and I was
saying,
interrupted.
so
I just want to finish my
you got more?
statement.
Okay, go ahead. You got this.
Awesome, thank you. So look, all I'm asking you for is just the set of lines or the set of sentences that in conjunction implies the conclusion that you asserted. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking you to do something very challenging right now. Look, if your response to me is just, it's every single part of the study, that's obviously very uninformative, and that's not going to help us get anywhere. I'm just asking what the specific parts of the study are that in conjunction leads you to the conclusion. Obviously, there are some parts of the study that are not going to be necessary in getting to that conclusion. There are going to be certain lines that don't fulfill this role. So that's just the question on the table.
So after uselessly repeating that for about the 4th time now, I'm going to go ahead and explain something very basic. When there are more lines to include than exclude, then there's no point in me pointing out specific lines because I'm going to be pointing out more than 50% of the paper. And at that point, I would say it's better to just go through the whole paper. It's not that long anyway, and I could go through it with you and summarize the basics. Also, if you read the title and you know that it's called True Hermaphrodite, then you know that even without the expertise to determine what kinds of features of genitals are actually classified as proper features of genitals, you know that the biologists that wrote the fucking paper already know that for you and titled it True Hermaphroditism. Silly goose. Anyways, if you want me to just like highlight 51% of the lines, which takes longer, honestly, and just reading the fucking paper, I could do that. If you want to just have like some absurd requests like that. Whoa, I don't know why you're talking over. Just simmer down there, sweetheart. Anyways, as I was saying, I could do that for you, or you could save us all time and we could just like read it and go through it, right? But simply put, this is just like embarrassing because obviously the title, which is titled Case Study of True Hermaphrodite, is pretty indicative that, yeah, it's a true hermaphrodite. Unless you're just denying that the biologists know what the fuck they're talking about.
Okay, I'm going to ask it again. What part of the study affirms the claim that you're making? Is there a specific paragraph? And if you're saying that there's not a specific paragraph and it's just the whole study, that's just not informative.
Holy shit, yes it fucking is. I don't know how many times I have to explain this. Imagine if I told someone this book will explain what climate change is and how it works, and it's like a fairly long book, and then they say, can you just point to like which specific part explains climate change? It's like, well, there are multiple concepts throughout the book that are pretty important, so maybe you just like go through the whole thing, right, to understand this basic concept. But if you don't want to go through the whole book, but you just want to know what the claims are of the book, you could just look at like the subsection or the title or something, and you know that the people who wrote the book are smart enough to understand these fucking things. And in the same way, in this paper, right, the biologist who wrote the paper titled it True Hermaphroditism. And if you want to keep playing this same silly game that everyone is embarrassingly tired of at this point, which is point to the specific sentence, of which there's not a single sentence because there's multiple sentences used to communicate the concept that I'm talking about throughout the paper, silly goose, then you're just not going to get anywhere, buddy.
If we're being charitable, right? Like, I think he just means that, or rather, he's asking for the the relevant info related to the sort of arguments you're putting forth, right?
Yeah,
I already outlined that. So in simplicity here, right, I explained that a true hermaphrodite is defined as someone who functionally produces both gametes. This is titled A True Hermaphrodite Case Study. And in the case study, if you don't believe the title, you can look at the description of the gonads, and they are described in ways that are proper. So I don't know what the confusion is here. Now, he's saying, like, look for one single line that tells you how it's described proper. It's like they go into multiple fucking lines talking about all the details of the gonads. There's not a single line for that. And it's spread out and dispersed.
Why does
Do you
it?
know what,
I guess
like,
my question is why does it matter whether they use a particular definition for true hermaphrodites? Sorry.
Wait, I do want to ask
Because I'll
question.
explain it very simply, and I'll go back. Maybe some people weren't
just
here.
hold on
So
there.
a true
I just wanna make sure
hermaphrodite
we're
being
clear
defined as
that
someone who produces both
true
gametes
hermaphrodite is actually an
is
outdated
going to
term.
be an
Look,
individual that meets the condition for male and the condition for female. Because
These-
a male could be defined under the gametic definition of sex, which is very common in biology, as one who produces small gametes. A female can be defined as one who produces large gametes. If you produce small and large gametes, you're both male and female. It's that simple.
Okay, so
Okay,
are
I get that,
you
but
aware
why?
of what? Are you aware of what the current term that's used to describe true hermaphroditism is? Are you aware of what it's typically also referred to as?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll just forget
yes or no
everything I
question.
said and
It's a yes
entertain
or
this
no.
new route. Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, it's called ovotesticular disorder of sexual development. Do you want me to give you the definition of ovotesticular disorder of sexual
Just tell
development?
me like where you're going and how it refutes anything I've said.
Yeah, because
on with
the
it.
fucking definition of ovotesticular development doesn't fucking mention gametic production. They mention gonads. They don't mention that. I'm going to read to you the definition, right? Ovotesticular disorder of sexual development is just a very rare disorder in which an infant is born with the internal reproductive organs of both sexes. It doesn't mention anything about gametes. That's not part of the definition.
What does that have to do with ability to produce gametes?
Yeah. Look, you said in your definition of true hermaphroditism, you invoked gametes. You said that it's just someone who can produce both gametes. That's how you define the term. And now I'm
Yes,
giving
can produce both gametes. Are you
that's
listening
not the
closely, buddy?
I'm aware that's compatible with what I said, with what I've said, but that's not the definition of the term. I just gave you the definition of the term. Okay?
So just to be clear, you agree that indeed the individual I posted in my case study is a true hermaphrodite, correct?
Sorry, what? Yeah, I can concede that they're true hermaphrodites.
Okay.
But
And you
again, true
agree that
hermaphroditism
a
does
male
not
is someone who can produce small gametes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You agree that this individual in the paper can produce small gametes, correct?
I'm unsure if what the gametes he can produce are. That wasn't specified. We can take a look. We can take a look, but I'm unclear on whether it says that he can produce both gametes.
Holy.
Okay, but I've given you the definition. The definition doesn't entail they have this ability. I want to make that very clear. Now we can move on, and now you can give me a source that says that someone with
It actually does entail that they can.
Wait, okay. Now this is a very absurd claim that's being made here. You're saying that an entailment of someone having both gonads means they can produce both gametes. You're saying that that's an entailment?
When you say entailment, if you're talking on the definition, then no, because there are polysemous definitions for such a thing. However, if you're talking about in the sense that's being talked about here, then yes, it is entailed.
Okay, when you say it's entailed, what do you mean by that?
I mean that it is necessarily true given what I've claimed.
You think it's necessarily true of someone with both gonads that they can produce both gametes?
What? No, I said given what I claimed, which is that this individual can.
We're talking about the definition here. Okay, maybe you're just
the
so lost.
The definition of gonads?
No, the definition of ovotesticular disorder. Okay? I'm trying to explain to you that in the definition, it doesn't mention the gametic production. So that's going to require further...
Are you trying to take like some route of, because this was mentioned, right? It's telling you that somehow means you're not sure if the small gametes can be produced? Is that what you're trying to say? Because that being mentioned in par doesn't tell you that you're suddenly unsure. This is just some facts that with it and it only alone would you be unsure if you had no other facts that you had access to. But you have more facts that you have access to in this paper. Holy shit.
You were saying that by definition, these people can produce both gamete types. I provided you the definition, and I've showed you that's not true by definition. So
Wait, let me explain this. Let me explain this.
It could still be true, but I'm going to need a case in which someone has.
Yeah, but wait, you notice how this doesn't refute anything that was said before. Okay, I'll let you get it all out, and then I'll explain very simply. Go ahead.
Yeah, so all I want now is just a further case in which someone has ovotesticular disorder or true hermaphroditism, and this individual can, in fact, produce both gametes. So just stating that they have this condition is obviously not enough, given the definition. That's not going to be enough. What you're going to have to do is actually provide an instance of this occurring.
All right, so as I was already going to interrupt with earlier because you adding all that changed nothing, you mentioning that they have this specific disorder does not change the fact that they can produce gametes. All you've said at this point is something like, well, someone telling me that they have a drink in the pack doesn't necessitate that they have water. They said they have a drink in their backpack, therefore it's not necessitated that they have water, except this is excluding the fact that they also told us they have a water bottle in their backpack. So you mentioning this fact doesn't actually change what was said before.
Stop.
Holy shit.
Where does it say that they can produce both gametes? Where does it say that?
Oh my lord. It's so... Okay, so as I already explained in the paper, yeah, just don't interrupt. It's okay. So as I was already explaining in the paper before, they describe the gonads and how they're properly formed. Just because in the paper, the wording, it was functioning properly, is not explicitly used, it doesn't mean that it's not implied in the case study as they were describing it.
Okay. What's the specific?
And if you want me to go through that and just read it for you because you're a little slow, I could go ahead and do that for you.
Okay, so just give me the source and give me the part of the source that states that there are in fact individuals who can produce both gametes. Go ahead.
Lord have mercy. Let's open up the paper. Here we go. Do you understand what I said about you mentioning some fact that was mentioned in the paper and how that doesn't impact anything? Because I never mentioned to you there is a drink in the backpack. I mentioned to you there's a water bottle in the backpack. You understand that you bringing that up does not change the fact that there is a water bottle in the backpack, just because there was also this fact mentioned that there's a drink in the backpack, right? Which I did not mention.
Just give
it's
the
as
source.
if like it's being implied that I was relying on the statement there's a drink in the backpack to determine that there's a water bottle in the backpack. And you just brought that up as some statement that wouldn't necessitate that there's a water bottle in there.
Okay, look, just give the
completely
source.
Useless addition. Just
source.
to let the chat know.
Anyways, the source and
let's go ahead. The source is already in side chat, but I could go ahead and repost it if I go grab the links again.
Awesome. And I just want the paragraph in which it says they can produce both gametes, right? Or
again, they don't usually explicitly write out in case studies something like, and they produce this gamete and they produce that gamete. The way they typically go through the case study are things that are more interesting to biologists, like saying, oh, so there are these gonads that were functioned and shaped in this particular way, which happens to match the majority of the population. And there is like a point of insertion here and here. It's like this kind of stuff. They're not going to explicitly say these things unless that's what the paper was about. But the case study wasn't about like pointing out that they're producing both gametes just specifically. They're just describing the case as a whole. Now, if you want me to read the individual parts and interpret which parts would lead you to that conclusion, I could do that for you. But as I've already explained, the fact that they are defined as true hermaphrodites in the title of the study should be more than enough for you to understand that, yes, they are true hermaphrodites. Do you understand that?
Now I think I'm probably going to crash out now because I've already said before, right? And I'm going to have to repeat this again, that just because someone has true hermaphroditism, or just under the definition of true hermaphroditism, it doesn't even strongly suggest that they can produce both gametes. Again, I've explained to you countless times what the definition is and how that's obviously not enough to lead you to that conclusion. The same way that someone having testicles doesn't lead you to the conclusion that they can produce sperm. Just because someone has a sperm and an ovary, a testes and an ovary, it doesn't lead you to the conclusion that they can produce both gametes. So obviously that's not going to be enough, retard. And I explained that to you multiple times. And I gave you the operating definition. So look, all we want is just the specific paragraph or specific set of paragraphs that implies or directly states, and I said implies, right? Or
why does this shit matter?
All I want is just the source and the paragraph number. Go ahead.
Who fucking cares?
I've said multiple times. there's not a single paragraph because it describes the function of the genitals in multiple paragraphs. But I'll just go ahead and share screen and start reading it off, maybe just to help you out there with that. So let's go ahead and pull it up. True hermaphroditism, case report, persistent Müllerian duct syndrome, yada
Once
yada.
again, I don't think the production of small or large gametes has anything to do with the claim that you made in regards of the sex or true hermaphroditism being both male and female. And I'm going to say this because you can find males that do not produce large gametes.
Are you using
or
a voice
find
changer?
females that do not produce small gametes. So that is not necessary to identify somebody as male or female.
It actually is, and the definition is more specific, which is why I use the word can, meaning that it is possible with certain conditions in place is what's being said.
Wait, so are you
Now-
saying that it is necessary for a person to produce small or large gametes to be identified as a certain sex?
Not to be producing them, but to have the ability to produce them. For example, if you get kicked in the nuts really
So the ability
hard
to produce
and you
would just
stop
be the
producing
structure,
them,
correct?
you are still male under the gametic definition. And I'll
Right,
send the
once
article
again, so
explaining the definition of that if you like.
So the production of it would be the structure, correct?
Well, I'm not sure why we're entertaining this dodge. I just want the paragraph number.
I don't
I'll
know
just
why
I don't
we're
know what
entertaining
you're
this
definition for you
argument
if
at
you
all.
like.
Like, why the fuck does
So-
this matter?
So here's the definition. So if we take a look, just so we make sure that we're all on the same page about, yes, the gametes entailing that they are of a certain sex. There's a whole paper I've got here on gamete competition, gamete limitation, and the evolution of the two sexes. So you could go through that. This is how biologists standardly define sex using gametes. And if you don't think that this is standard in biology, then I guess you're just denying the literature. So I don't know what to say at that point.
Oh, so what you're basically proving now is that Leo is right because there are no humans that they do have the structure to produce small or large gametes, but there are no humans who produce both.
No, there are
So this would
humans
be
who
a
produce
concession.
both.
So this would be. Can you point to us one of them or a case?
Yeah, so
The-
let's
the
go
cases
ahead
that you
and
have
pull up
provided,
the
just to
cases
be
yet
fair,
again.
Just to be fair, the cases that you have provided have the structures. They have the small gamete structure and the large gamete structure. They have testes and ova, but they do not clarify if they produce both. They say they either produce sperm or ova.
Yeah, so did you hear what I said about what is actually needed? It's just the structures for the gamete production having been at any point in time in place and or having the sorts of genes that are necessary for that gamete to be produced.
So that's literally what I said earlier, and you disagree with that. You said that it has to do with the production, not with the structure.
I didn't disagree. Maybe you were confused.
Sure, sweetie, you can check the chat. That's what I have been saying.
Yeah, you can
So
check the
you're
chat.
saying that I disagreed with you that if the production can happen due to the structures, it's not about structures alone. Because if you just have some sort of things that sort of resemble gonads in place, but then you analyze the gonads and it actually turns out that none of the pieces seem to be at all fairly conducive to the production of gametes, then it wouldn't matter if you have something that's technically classified as a gonad. So maybe I would disagree in that specific sense. But if we're talking about there being structures in place that would result in the ability to produce gametes with the right conditions, as in you haven't been kicked in the nuts before, for example, then yeah, you'd be just fine.
Look, Aria, are you good with me moderating from now on? Because or something, I don't know.
It doesn't seem to aggressive right now. There's not too much interruptions. I don't think it's needed.
Okay.
Wait, Lucario, do you get what we're saying?
No.
Lucario's not paying attention.
Is anybody actually getting what we're saying? Like, I don't think it has
Fuck
anything
no.
to do with that. I don't think it has
No,
anything
yeah, I
to do
understand
with
what you're saying.
yeah, I
You're
don't think
saying
it
that they
has
can
anything
have
to
both
do with
structures without
production of
producing
large or small gametes. I think it has to do with the structures being there.
Yeah, exactly. And even in the definition of ovotesticular disorder, which is this true hermaphroditism in humans, it's even specified that it's referencing the structures and not the production of
Right.
them.
So I don't see why you want to die in the hill that like they produce both small and large gametes when that is not the case. Not in humans, at least.
Hey, shout out my trans niggas. That's the debate.
So are we gonna get the source or no?
Terminus, are you still there? To carry on the debate.
I feel like the source might be like in the room with us. I just can't quite like see it.
Our conclusion: trans people exist. We can move on.
Damn, Terminus, they're kind of calling you a bitch right now. I can't lie.
He's telling you to give the source and read it out to him, and you're not doing it.
You gonna let? Never mind. I should say something crazy.
Like if you want me to get the access to the full study, I can do that, Terminus, and just send the link to you guys. But like I said, there's no humans who produce both large and small gametes.
He might be transhuman shit. No, I was kidding.
Wait, Leo, is that your entire point? Just that there are no humans which produce both?
Yeah, that is Leo's point.
Oh, that's the entire point.
The equivocation was pretty good because it's like sneaky, but he's basically equivocating hermaphroditism as it's applied to plants with true hermaphroditism, like the intersex condition in humans. And I do think it's a pretty clever move to make, but I mean, I think anyone can see it coming from like a mile away.
What Leo's saying here is that he has systematically just annihilated this argument.
Well, he's kind of dick eating at the same time, and like it's like a backhanded dick eating.
He said, "Ooh, that was good." He was like, "That was good," but it was pretty obvious to point out. Like, the nigga was not good. What?
He said that was good, but not good enough.
I cannot believe you just took that rhetorical fucking destruction and then was glazing after the fact. That's actually wild. Stand up for yourself.
Yeah, bro, you can't like Leo.
He
one thing moving on.
might have touched you up.
Yeah, you can't just be like glazing people like Leo. Come on.
Yo, Lucario, Leo might have got touched up the way he was glazing him after that debate.
You at least save the glazing for people who are respectful to you. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think equivocations are just a very sneaky move,
Leo,
it's sneaky, but it's not good.
Sorry, what was that?
It's sneaky, but it's not good.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, he was beating him up. He's been beating him up most of this conversation.
I was saying, Leo, it sounded like he was giving you them hands the way he was glazing them.
Rhetorically, substantively, it was looking very bad for Leo at first.
What?
You heard me. I didn't stutter.
He's like empirically
regardless of
wrong.
the reproduction of small or large gametes, I don't think that's important, Leo. If you like to continue with that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the sex being binary framework's just fine, just by using a comedic-based definition, because obviously these individuals just don't exist.
How can you be empirically wrong with regards to an equivocation fallacy?
But if you're going to define
his conclusion is empirically false. The evidence that he gave equivocated, yeah.
But if you're going to define the sex being binary by the production of small or large gametes, you would be disqualifying hundreds.
This shit has to be a voice changer. You're actually trolling.
Male or female.
Yeah, you can add certain conditions like denoting to the sex, or like having certain necessary conditions for the ability. There are ways you can get around that.
Once again, I think you're deviating from the conversation of sex being binary. If you're gonna define the sex being binary by the production of small or large gametes, then that wouldn't be true either.
So you could say that sex is just defined as the ability or denotation of the ability to produce large gametes. Or sorry, denoting to that ability to produce large gametes.
Right, but denoting is not even like an objective like.
Yeah,
thing.
no, I have specific semantics of denoting. So when I say that someone's denoting to this ability, I just mean that they have a series of conditions. For instance, the conjunction of like the SOX9, the upregulation of the SOX9 gene, and a sufficient amount of AR genes such that male phenotypical features are developed. If they have that and they don't produce small gametes, they would still be male.
Then there's still intersex conditions that wouldn't apply, that like would refute that, if that makes sense.
What condition?
In regards of the was it a deactivated SOX9?
No, the upregulation of SOX9 in conjunction with some amount of AR genes that are sufficient to initiate male development, phenotypically speaking.
Dude, your rules make no fucking sense, Lucario. Who fucking
Wait, I didn't make those.
Who
I didn't make those rules, bro. Someone.
It sounds like cherry picking, to be honest. Like, if you're gonna say like that would actually disqualify like thousands of people.
So what's the case? What's the condition that you think is not going to be met under the definition of retarded?
Intersex conditions, once again.
No, I'm aware that they're intersecting. I'm asking what intersex condition specifically.
So when you say in conjunction, do you mean that they both have to be true?
Yeah. So, for instance, so if like I'll give an example. So if it's the case that someone doesn't produce male gametes, they could still be male by fulfilling the conjunction that I listed. Well, it's actually technically it's a disjunction of two conjunctions.
So let me get this straight. Males who do not produce small gametes wouldn't be males, according to you?
I hope that's a joke.
I mean, is that not what you said?
No, it's the opposite of what I said. I said that they could still be male by virtue of meeting certain conjunctions I've given, like the conjunction between the functioning like a conjunction between the functioning SRY gene and an upregulation of SOX9.
Hello. I have some people over, so I have to go outside for a second. But let me just finish off this retard real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna post something inside chat, and I'm gonna post a screenshot here. Here we go. So there you go. A case of someone who has both ovulated and fathered a child. So congratulations.
And that's the 1980 study I was telling you guys to be wary of. I knew he would do it, guys. I literally warned everyone in the VC. He's gonna be pulling up a fucking 45-year-old study to support his fucking claim. Because there's no fucking modern biologist who would ever assert that this was the case. I literally warned you guys about this. These horrible.
I'm not gonna lie. My so-called friends are kind of asshole-ish, but yeah, this guy got kind of molested. All right, I'll be back. I'm gonna go talk to my homies for a minute. I'll be back.
The age of the study is not particularly relevant, I guess. Why are
absolutely relevant? It is so. Okay, oh my god, embryology is developing so much.
I agree with that. But that's so just because it's developing a bunch. Do you have an actual critique of this study?
I do. I have a friend. I don't know if he's in here, but I have a friend who knows everything about that study and the reason why it's false. But I don't know. I might be able to get him in here actually.
Find contending publications.
But yeah, I think it was explained through there was some type of they mistook male gametes for something else. I forgot what it's called. I forgot what the name was, but I could get that for you. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I don't think a source that old to have.
Wait, the friend you're talking about doesn't happen to be Nate, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god. Okay, well you agree that just raises the credence of the source being valid, right?
He knows his shit when it comes to embryology. I can't lie.
Sure, buddy. Sure.
He knows all the intersex conditions.
Wait.
Did you say?
He knows all the intersex conditions.
No, I said who you're referring to. I didn't hear it.
His name's Nate. He's a TikTok gender debater.
What was the initial proposition on the table?
Whether or not.
Oh, that one.
Okay, guys, Nate is here. So the intersex conditions are. No,
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, when we have a conclusion that large, a conclusion that would completely revolutionize how biologists think about sex. The fact that this is only reported in a 1982 study and it has not been backed up in any modern study. I mean, obviously, that's the type of thing that
without Nate here, the claim just sits on the table.
Just to be fair, intersex conditions are not like something you come across easily, especially when it comes to true hermaphroditism. So that would be why.
No, but no, if this was valid, then every single medical publication would be jumping on this. The fact that there's only one publication on it and it was 1982 is just
and to be fair, that publication is peer reviewed, is it not?
They were confused about sex in the 1980s. I think they thought that the SRY gene was like the actual thing that determined sex back then, and they like wrongfully categorized females with Swyer syndrome because of that. Like,
what is a peer reviewed study, Leo?
What's a peer-reviewed study?
Yes.
What's the relevance of the question?
The relevance of the question is regarding you saying that it was back in that day and they didn't know enough. You don't think that all scientists didn't know?
I think that I don't see how that demonstrates relevance.
Can you just define it? Entertain me.
I'm not interested in doing that. Why not? I think it's unnecessary to progress the dialogue.
Well, guess what, nigga? You don't got a choice. Now answer this.
But yeah, peer-reviewed studies just generally refer to studies that have some type of rigorous procedure in which there's like certain people that have to, like a certain amount of people have to like sign up on it. There has to be a certain amount of editors, a certain amount of reviewers. Yeah, I understand that peer-reviewed studies are like a big deal, but it was in 1982. 40 years later, no one's talking about it. I mean, come on. Obviously, if this was true, everyone would be talking about it. If it was actually the case that someone produced both gametes, obviously there'd be more than one scientific publication about it.
Sometimes you can't find gold twice.
Hundreds of others.
Yeah, bro. Leo saying that he just Terminus. Leo just said he absolutely annihilated you.
But the fact that I pre-called that like 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
No, but in fairness, Gabe, we're being clear. Leo, because I forgot who the dude said it. He was like, "Well, what's the problem with it?" Leo said he need his homie to kind of like, you feel me, get the backbone of it. So realistically, I mean, the statistics just sit on the table, uncontested.
Well, no, I think that the induction I've given is obviously sufficient. But if you want to know, like,
because nobody uses it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
But
I mean, shit. Maybe they don't want to get put on.
That's kind of fair.
I guess they don't want to get put on. Shit.
Yeah. But I don't know, if I could find a way to get him in here. Yeah, I mean, he could give a much more technical explanation of the issue. I don't think anyone's really interested in that, though.
Hey, look, maybe those people want to deny the truth, man. You never know.
Yeah, but I think Ice got a point there. You can only find gold ones. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, imagine there was like a case of like a human who was like 10 feet tall, and there was like some study that was peer reviewed in like the 40s that said this person was 10 feet tall, and just like nobody ever picked up on it. No one talked about it. Like, obviously there's some issues.
Look. The reason why that was the case, because, you know, maybe that was the only 10-foot person that ever existed and only he knew. So nobody else seen it, so like, well, fuck it.
Exactly.
I think my nigga won personally, but that's just me though. Like,
oh my god,
that's just me though. I think he won.
Wait, is Terminus like actually good on like other subjects? I don't really know.
Kari said he's good.
Okay.
Is that formal logic? Is that the book? Does he got a book as a profile? Oh, he gotta be cold, right? He got the logic book as the profile pic. He gotta be cold.
Yeah, he's got it.
I can't wait till he come back. He's finna belt the fuck out of Leo on his main topic. Like, you caught him.
Oh god, bro, Leo, I'd be like
a fly. It's a fly.
Wait, who is Leo about to debate?
Leo, you might as well like leave the VC. Leo, you gotta like leave the VC right now before he comes back, man.
No, bro, I wouldn't want that ass.
Who is Leo debating though?
Bro,
Leo almost got strangled. He almost got strangled, and he don't even do the topic. That's all I'm saying.
Bro, look, I'm not gonna lie. I was paying attention. I think Leo won that. Like, not rhetorically, but definitely. So.
Rhetorically, I don't even care about rhetoric that much.
I don't know. Wait, actually, what are your thoughts so far?
Let's get
Leo, who are you? Who is this guy?
The Terminus person who's muted.
Oh,
But wait,
Terminus.
actually, what are your thoughts on the? Give your objective thoughts on the conversation.
Oh, sorry, my objective thoughts on that conversation.
Yeah, did you just walk off the toilet, bro?
No, I didn't.
Look at
I
her
was
cramp.
coughing out. No, I was coughing. I was
Yeah,
coughing because I hit the bong before I came upstairs. So okay. My objective thoughts on that conversation is, I mean, it seemed like a semantic conversation that just went really wrong. I don't think that it needed to get that rhetorical over semantics, especially because, like, I feel like all there is to say about semantics is that we should agree on, you know, what terms mean as it relates to a particular usage of that term, and as long as you understand what they're saying, you know, I don't think there's a reason to argue about it too much, even if they like their definition isn't really in accordance with you know, contemporary understandings, because, you know, if they're just trying to signify that as it relates to some argument, I don't really see an issue. Now, if the argument was over how it was defined itself, which is, you know, what it seemed to be, I just don't see utility in arguing about that. But if that was just like a and I guess someone could, like, feel free to, you know, show me the utility in arguing over, like, the true definition of hermaphrodite, right? But like, I just didn't see, well, I didn't see a reason to argue about it, but if that was the argument, I think that, you know, the not Leo, I don't know who it was. Was it Demon who was arguing that whole time?
Terminus.
I'm not really.
Oh, if it was Demon, I'd have been that nigga rhetorically. But nah, it wasn't me though.
Yeah,
I was kidding, Leo.
Yeah, so Terminus, I think did like a I didn't catch the equivocation fallacy, but what I did catch is, and I forget what this is called, but there is something people tend to do that's, I just think, like, really, I think it's really dumb. It doesn't look substantive at all, where they'll be like, oh, just read this entire body of literature instead of me finding the information that's relevant to this.
Oh God!
Especially as it relates to, like, definitions, because if you have to read an entire body of literature to understand a single definition, you're explaining something wrong.
Oh God!
I don't think
See,
there were.
Imagine if I just said, like, psych, no one cares about your opinion.
That would be, you did that nigga slime, but hey, me personally, me personally, he sent that big ass passage. I put the whole thing in question. I wouldn't even read the shit.
Wait, let's get some ice commentary.
Oh, like I said it, like, you know, substantially, it was a lot of back and forth, you know. Leo said he was on some fuck shit. He was on some fuck shit. Rhetorically, you know, Leo got hold. At the near end, I give my opinion. At the near end, he get that source. Leo kind of was like, oh, I gotta get my homie. That didn't really look good. Like, you gotta get your homie. You could have just said it. Could have responded, fuck your homie, but I'm not literally fuck your homie, but like fuck your homie in reference to the conversation. So, like, yeah, that kind of looked bad, but overall, it still seemed like maybe Leo might have won on some shit. But I like the other guy though.
I'd be interested in seeing a conversation between Nate and Terminus.
Oh my God, that would be so cancer. It would be so.
Wait, do you know, is Nate in the server?
Who Nate? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Definitely not.
Okay.
He sound cold.
I tried to get him in here, but he, like, ran away when I called him a bitch.
Oh shit.
Oh damn. Oh, is he not cold? Because he sound cold.
He's not cold. It's on YouTube, bro. It's like, it's really bad.
I was so confused.
Wait, damn. Nigga say he's a bitch. I'm like, damn, I thought that was the homie shit. Shit, I'm confused to happen.
You see, like, Terminus just fucking screaming at Nate. That'd be so bad.
Bro, I had fucking this nigga when I catch Harmy, bro. I had pupusas today. That shit was so fucking ass. They fucking suck. They're terrible.
Nah, stop lying. Wait, where did you get them from?
Pupusas fucking. It's some random ass restaurant near me.
Nah.
Bro, it was all the fucking corn dough, no beans and cheese. Shit was just straight corn dough. Yeah, they did fuck me up. That shit was ass as fuck. I want to puke.
Nah, bro. Don't judge it on that, bro.
Yeah, that shit was fucking abysmal. I would never, ever in my life eat it again. And I want to fucking puke. That shit was ass. That shit was fucking abysmal. And it was high calorie. Shit was high calorie and tasted like shit.
Bro, they just ruined Dossie's opinion on pupusas, bro.
Bro, how the fuck do you make an item high calorie and taste like dog shit? It's not that fucking hard to make something high calorie and good.
Alright.
I ain't gonna lie. Low key, we should accept transgenders because it would make fucking the femboy not gay.
And I'm confused. How do you fuck up beans, cheese, and a carb that you fry in fat? Like, how do you fuck that up?
Bro, I just ate pussas today, bro.
Yo, I only have like 1 minute. My friends are telling me to get the fuck off of Discord and stop hanging out with fucking losers. But I just want to know, did that guy give a response to fucking paper or not?
Who they talking to?
He did give a pretty good response.
He did not give a response. All right, that's all I needed to know. All right, I'm gonna go back and
did.
start.
He did.
Okay, what was the response? What was the response?
He said pretty much like he can't like personally get into like the specifics on what's in the article because his homie not here. But besides that, he's saying, well, look, this research people don't use it at all.
So he just claimed. So basically, he just vaguely claimed there's something wrong with it. Let me guess. Did he say something about confusing the male gametes for something else or something like that?
No. He said since people don't accept it now, that's reason to assume.
Well, that's not just what he said. He said both of those things basically.
He made a stronger.
Yeah. So the first one would be absolutely retarded because they gave birth to a child by fucking a woman. So that's all just like stupid as fuck. The other thing. Hold on. The other thing is if he wants to say something about the ovaries and the demiotology that was used to make a determination about whether a period did take place, it's very well documented, and there are x-rays that we still have images of today. So this retard just denying this is just embarrassing himself like crazy. Holy shit.
Damn.
Anyways,
Leo, I told you you should have left, bro. I told you you should have just left the meeting.
They came back on deep inside.
Response here is
Terminus, Leo told you a bitch.
Look, I literally pre-clogged that he was going to give a 1980 study. Wait, I just want to ask you a question. Why are you not able to provide a recent study? Why is it the case that no one has picked up on this?
I already explained that to you, Leo.
No, you didn't.
Intersex conditions are rare.
That's compatible. Wait, I don't see how. Wait, so there's a specific case that actually happened. If it actually happened, why did more people not pick up on it? Why is it not being referenced in current medical literature?
God, it was picked up by the peers. It was peer-reviewed.
I understand that. I'm asking if there was an actual peer-reviewed study on it, and the conclusion was true. Why are current people in the medical field not picking up on it? Why are they not discussing this obviously true case of someone who believes they're married? I'm aware they did it back then. That's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking why are they not talking about it now?
Why would they talk about
She
it
already
now?
answered the question.
Because it's revolutionary.
Oh
No,
my god!
wait, I mean,
sound like my
wait.
nigga Leo down bad. What's going on, man?
I mean, okay, the thing is, and this is going to be true of any like medical study or scientific study, is that it's empirical evidence, which means it is fallible, first of all, and it is the case that like when we get a situation in which a study like produces results that are not in accordance with the results that are more common or more popular, we have like unironically, there's like you could just take this in like a hypothesis and evidence format, right? Like, okay, let's take your hypothesis. Here's that single piece of evidence towards it, right? And then they're just making an inductive case based on the body of evidence that researchers in this field tend to refer to when talking about this, right? And that just like is significantly increases the probability of that hypothesis being true, as opposed to the counter hypothesis you put forth.
What that nigga said.
Yeah, but like, I think Leo has a point though. Like, this seems like I don't know how big of a discovery this has to be. But, like, if it was true, it seems like this discovery would be like, if you found like Bigfoot or something.
If someone legitimately could produce both male gametes and female gametes, it would be talked about then. It'd be talked about now. People would be talking about it right now. No one's talking about it right now. People talk about it 40 years ago.
I don't see niggas talking about gravity like that. I'm just saying shit.
Yeah, it was like a 1982 study. And
Bro, where the fuck is
that?
Wait, what? That shit would be fucking revolutionary. Where the fuck is that
That's what
stuff?
I'm saying. Bro, everyone would be talking about that shit.
If someone could produce male and female gametes, we would learn about that shit in school.
Why are you guys
We would learn about that shit in school, my nigga. That shit would change. That would change biology forever. Like that shit would actually change science.
How come no academic institutions are calling it out? Like,
there'll
come on.
probably be like an anime called The First Gender Bender.
No,
Look, all I'm saying is we made a lot of big discoveries, but we don't necessarily talk
bro, like we figured out Jewish people, something like Arthur, bro. We figured out that.
Yo,
like
Ice,
we don't really
come
talk
on.
about gravity like that.
Yo, Ice, if you saw, if you saw a person with a dick and a pussy, you would be talking about them, bro. Trust.
Once again,
not 40 years down the line.
Bro, yeah. Like, bro, that's actually a nigga who could fuck themselves, get themselves pregnant. That shit is crazy.
Oh my god, that's not how that works.
Whoa.
That's not how it works. If you produce large and small gametes, you could fuck yourself and get
They
yourself pregnant. What am I
wouldn't
missing?
physically fuck themselves, you idiot.
Yeah, nigga, they could take their small gametes,
He's just
right, and
saying
they
they
could
could.
shove it up their pussy or whatever hole they have down there, and then the small gametes merge with the large gametes, and they could get fucking pregnant.
Well, I mean, if it's long enough, I could see how.
Like, bro, maybe look, you just have a small dick. That's what it is. My dick is big enough to where if I had a pussy that big, I could fit my shit in there.
That's real, bro. That's real.
Hey, he's been though, cause shit, I can do that shit. Yeah.
Look, I got a big dick. You got a small shit. That's no problem, nigga. But I don't think we should be slandering this imaginary nigga by saying he got a small dick. If that nigga if he got large and small gametes, that nigga packed. That nigga lucky enough to do that shit. I know he's lucky enough to do that.
Saucy's referring to. He's not referring to you, Abby. He's referring to a hypothetical person who had both small and large gametes.
Yes, that person got a big dick. I already know that.
Nigga was packing.
Okay, but look, maybe the study not talked about, but I don't mean it didn't happen though.
Yeah, that nigga can use his pussy to jack off. Ain't that shit crazy?
That nigga was born with a built-in flashlight.
Nah, but look, so we really gonna deny it because it's not talked about, really?
Yep.
Yes.
Bro, if you saw somebody get themselves pregnant, bro, you'd be talking about it.
In embryology debates, no one ever references 1982. I've never seen anything like that. Usually, people shit on like articles.
You probably debated this shit 3 times, nigga. I don't want to hear shit from you.
People will shit on articles that were made in the 2000s. I'll pull up like a 2000 source. Like,
Leo, how many debates you done had some else in all the debates I didn't see? Already been there. That's why I had 2 debates.
Okay, come on. To be fair, Leo used to be notorious for being a transphobe on TikTok.
What?
He used to be notorious for being a transphobe on TikTok.
Who, Leo?
Yeah, bro, that shit fucked up, bro. Man, that's not good, bro. Those people ain't doing that to you.
Wait, Leo used to do that?
Well, I wasn't transphobe.
He had like.
Damn.
Well, I mean, the proposition that he wasn't transphobic is compatible with the proposition that he was notorious for being transphobic on TikTok.
The only thing I need to know is if you think Jewish people come from MacArthur, bro. That's just obviously, bro.
Alright, so.
Yo, everyone
peeps side chat. He kind of beat your ass and just go kick it with his friends. That was kind of cool.
Look, all the transgenders, if they found out that someone was producing both large and small gametes, the transgenders would be like this. This is how they would be on TikTok. Niggas would be hating that shit.
Everyone would be talking about it.
Nigga, they'll be hitting. They'll be tripping out on my. They'll be like, eh.
But yeah, okay. So I think the proper course of action here is, Leo, go talk to Nate, get something better than just like, oh well, why isn't it talked about now? And then Terminus can like maybe hang out with